Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Chit-Chat Tuesday. I'm here with the wonderful artist Lana, who's not a stranger to exploring the afterlife. And Lana's got such a fascinating life, from her work as a medium, her psychic art, her art. And I've left the DVD upstairs. I was going to just show you the DVD that you were on for A Haunting, and Soul Rescue, and she's also involved with the Warrens as well, and got quite a nice bit of work that you do through the Warrens, which is really important, and we'll go into why that's so important as well. So I want to say hello to Robbie, to Wendy, hello to everybody that's popping in at the moment. So Lana, where shall we start? Because it's kind of nice doing this with yourself, who I know so well, and somebody got a friendship with. Hi Mel. Well, you're the beginning. If you're right to go back there when you first kind of started.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Well, hi Dawn. Hi Colette. How are you doing? So yeah, when you first started getting interested in spiritual work, the paranormal, the first little seed that was maybe planted, or that you thought that you had a gift?
I think to sort of go back to when I discovered my gift, which was not a gradual occurrence, it was straight into it, as it were. I had been asked along to a friend's house, and there was a spiritualist there doing readings. So they let me go first. And she read handprints in the sand, in the trail of sand, which I'd never seen before. So I found it fascinating. I had readings previously, so I wasn't a stranger to, I was interested anyway. And she told me that, like it or not, Spirit would put in a pencil in my hand. Like it or not, I would be working for Spirit. And I just simply said, I haven't got time. I haven't got time for that. Anyway, as she went through the reading, I kind of finished my reading and the next person went ahead. My friend said to me, well, there's no time like the present. And I said, what do you mean? So he threw a pile of paper in front of me and a pencil, and he said, right, go ahead. And I said, well, I don't know what to do. She's just told me I'm going to work for Spirit. I didn't realize it was going to be tonight. So I picked up the pencil, and after sort of staring at my friend and giggling for a few minutes, I just began to draw. I just focused on him after the giggling, and I just started to draw. And strangely enough, I did everybody else's that night too. So I was literally thrown in straight away. There was no gentle easing into it, as there is generally with a lot of people. But I think that it had to happen that way, because I think I would have probably said, oh, well, I'll wait and see what happens, and possibly put it off. So circumstances were kind of set that I was to do it that night, and basically that was the start of it. In the next few months, I was asked to go to a psychic fair by the same friend, and I was sat in the waiting area. There was waiting area in front of each table. And as I looked down the row of tables, there was a psychic artist. But I was drawn to a particular person who was waiting outside of, sort of next to that table. And when I looked at him, his eyes were it was just an incredible topaz blue, which made me notice him. I then went to the organizer's wife, who was sat at a desk, and asked her for a pencil and paper. And I started to draw. And I recall it was a biblical figure. I think it was the name Joseph I wrote on the bottom of the piece of paper. At the end of it, I said to the organiser's wife, please don't let that man leave without this picture. It's important because he's waiting next to a psychic artist's table. It's unethical for me to approach him personally. So if you do, it won't seem as bad once he's left that area. So that's what happened. And he came up to me and he said, did you do this for me? And I said, well, yes. And he said something about that he'd never had a reading before, ever. So I said, well, I'm sorry if I didn't ask your permission, but I felt compelled to do it. And so I said to him, do you believe, because it was a biblical figure, do you believe in God? And he said, I'm researching the Bible. I'm searching for the truth. So that was a wow moment right at the beginning. Lots of things happened right at the beginning, but that was one of them. And I couldn't believe it. And he thanked me and sort of went on his way. And it was just those moments I think I probably doubted, even though things matched up and it seemed as though people were accepting what I was doing. I couldn't believe, because it had happened so fast. It was like a roller coaster. So I couldn't believe what people were saying. So I think I spent the first year saying, oh my God, So essentially it was the psychic fairs, mind, body and spirit fairs that led me into the soul rescue and the paranormal investigations. So this was kind of then moving on sort of a year and a half. I was asked to go to a charity event at a pub in Bolden, in the northeast, and we raised £1,000 for air ambulance, I think it was, and the Macmillan nurses. So my friend who was sat next to me, she was a tarot reader. She asked me to look after her things while she went with the landlord upstairs to look at this room. And apparently they've been having a lot of trouble with paranormal activity. So I had gone upstairs to the toilet after a while, and they were sat just outside the toilet. There was a room kind of connecting, and they were talking about what they were planning to do. So she mentioned that there would be seances. They were planning a series of seances, and would I like to be part of that? And I said yes. And again, I was thrown in the deep end because I had never done one before. I'd never been to an investigation before. And I think I'd read a book a few months before about soul rescue. So I did have a little bit of insight as to what it was about. So I kind of went along to the first one, and it was really bad. The people had been doing the Ouija board every day practically for the last 3 months. So there was a lot of activity going on. I personally saw a shadow of a man walking past against the wall. He had a top hat on and a coat. There were various things. There were loud knocks on the door that nobody could possibly access from the front of the street. And the knocks, I mean, you would have to make that kind of sound on a door that heavy with a hammer or something, and that was 3 o'clock in the morning after we'd finished one of the seances. So it kind of progressed to a point where it was extremely troublesome, to a point that people were becoming angry. People who came into the pub were, you could see them physically changing from laughing, smiling to becoming quite angry. And it did have a history of police visiting the pub and closing it down at various times. And so we kind of, I was at that time, it was my first one. So I was dependent upon my friend to kind of show me what to do. So she, if you like, did the soul rescue. I didn't feel as though it had taken or removed the spirit at all. And I kind of refused to go back to the pub after a while. It just refused. Not because I was scared or frightened, because I knew that it was quite a difficult, it was a challenge for anybody, I think. And I wasn't going to expose myself to any more negative energies that were there. So from that point, it became, I think protection was essential to me. It was very important. And that's where I started to do soul rescues from then on. So I felt completely guided. I've never been instructed on how to do soul rescue. I depended on my spirit guides and my higher self, if you like, to sort of show me the way. And whatever I was doing after that, the various soul rescues I attended after that and performed, they seemed to work. So I felt as though, my guidance had, done some good for people. And that was my aim. It was my driving force, was to relieve people from that fear. I attended one place one time, and it was an elderly couple, and the lady would not drink after 5 o'clock because she was too scared to go to the toilet. So I think, if you like, my empathy for people literally feeling so scared they couldn't go to the toilet was kind of my driving force. So that is where I started to do more and more soul rescues and investigations, possibly at a time when, it wasn't too popular then. There was Most Haunted, but, we're talking about 2005. So obviously Most Haunted was about, and things like A Haunting. So anyway, I sort of a year after that first initial soul rescue and investigation, my friend contacted me and said that Discovery Channel was going to come and do a reenactment of the whole thing, and could they interview me? And of course I agreed. And it was a very interesting experience. I don't really like cameras, so I had to try and overcome that one.
You come across well, Lana.
Thank you. So it was an experience, and I never thought that something that I did in 2005 was going to have an impact today, really. I thought it was something I was going to do and leave to one side, and sort of move forward with other things, other projects. But if I can just reiterate that at that time, this is where I received a succession of visions of the oracle cards, which I have recently painted. So I've been working on those for the last 3 years. And although a lot of time has lapsed in between receiving them, I think, or I felt as though Spirit had entrusted me with those images and the purpose of them until the time was right. So that kind of then led me on to, I had a bit of a break from it all because I became a student from 2013, sorry, to 2018. So I was busy studying at that point. And I'd moved down south. So there was a lot of things happening. So I did have a break from that. And then when I moved back to the northeast, I resumed my interests.
Brilliant. I'm going to get up because you've got a photograph which I think people would love to be seeing. I'm just going to do a few hellos to people that have popped on. So I want to say hello to Sam. Hello, Sam. Thank you for your nice comment too. To Jules, to Susan, to Patricia. Who else? Annie. I haven't said hello to yet. Linda, I haven't said hello to. Darren. I think I might have said hello to Colette. Yeah, I did say hello, and to Mel. But hello again to you, and hello to everybody that's watching. If there's people just silent watchers at the moment, so I thought as I managed to load it up. So do bear with me as I get some, and we've got some of Lana's wonderful art and these oracle cards that Lana's working on to share with everybody. But I'll get this photo up first, and I'll then try and pull up the other photo as well. So Can you explain this photo, please, that's up?
Right, well, this would have been around 2000 and I would say about 2010, 2011. And I'd been called to the Muckleborough Museum in Weybourne in North Norfolk. I lived in North Norfolk in Sheringham, but at the time I had a friend who worked there, and she told me that there had been a lot of things happening, and periodically things did happen there. But things were flying off the shelves and various other things were being moved within that museum. Oh, and by the way, I don't want people to be too afraid to go by mentioning this, but I think I did solve the problem. Anyway, on the way to the Muckleborough, it was only, a mile or so down the road. While I was driving, I had a picture of 6 women who, and an explosion. And I wasn't quite sure I felt as though it was during the war, during the Second World War. I didn't receive any names at that point, but I was literally going to have a look at what was going on, if you like. My first reaction when I actually got there, even though there were few people, it was such a quiet day that day, and there was just a few people actually leaving. This was towards the end of the day, towards closing. And I mentioned to my friend, I said, has anybody new started here? Because I got a sense of somebody starting that had stirred everything up. And she said, well, yes, there is somebody who's just started in the canteen. And I said, well, will she be there? And she said, well, yes. So obviously this was on my way to the canteen at the Muckleborough. And in this image, I'd taken several images literally within seconds of each other. Previous images do not show anything, anybody beside me at all. But this one, as you can see, I'm in black, and all you can see is my hands around the camera on the left, sorry. And on the right is a lady that stood there, and she has her hands kind of folded in front of her. And she's kind of slightly bowing, but in the original picture, once I get the picture, find the memory stick with the original picture on, it's so clear. You can see her makeup, you can see her lipstick, but her neck is distorted. Even though it's slightly bent, it looked odd, very odd. So I believe that this was one of the ladies that was, unfortunately, that endured that horrible explosion. When my friend looked it up, he tried to go into the history of it, and all he could find was there were 6 women that were blown up during the. I think they'd gone into defend. It had historically always been sort of, a defense area. And they'd gone into sort of, obviously aircrafts were coming and they wanted to sort of help defend the area, and the ammunition just exploded and killed the women outright. Unfortunately, it was just a tragic accident that had happened. But there wasn't too much about them. Now, I felt as though she wanted acknowledgement, and generally they do. And I felt as though she needed that acknowledgement. I don't know if, I haven't looked lately if anything has been sort of recognised, if they've recognised them, these ladies. I have no idea. I haven't looked recently. But I would hope that somebody's changed that. If not, I might just sort of get that ball rolling myself. But I know it's years on, but I kind of felt as though things would, they would get the acknowledgement they deserve.
Absolutely. And by doing this, that's acknowledging,
Yeah.
and starting that.
Yeah.
I'd like to say hello to Claire, to Soldier.
Hi, Claire.
I'm trying to see anybody else that's joined at the moment. Do apologise if I missed anybody. Now, what I'm going to do, Lana, as best as I possibly can, I think we're going to be okay here, is I will we'll close that down. Oops, no, it's not the best thing to do. Right. Is to get the other photographs that you've shared as well. So there's that one, and I'm just going to pull up this one to show what it was like when you took it a few seconds later. So let me zoom in where we can just see you and pull this one up as well. So share screen. Oh, no, maybe not. Right. Let's get that going. Okay, so this should be. So that is if that's loaded for everybody. That's what it's like. So did you take that one first or after? Because that's just you that we can see there.
That was
the person.
Yeah, that was first because, when it zoomed out, there's an ice cream cone kind of thing that is at the side. And I think I stepped back to take the other one, the one that has the lady next to me. I think I'd step further back.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks very similar actually. The two photographs look. There's
Yeah,
not that much sort of difference in it at all.
no,
So I mean, you've what I think would be really good, because you do some wonderful work for the Warrens, and the Warrens is I think from what I've heard, because I've been listening to interviews you sent me through with Chris, who is the
yeah,
grandson,
yeah,
is that if you're a ghost hunter, you will not have heard of the Warrens, and if you're a paranormal researcher, you most definitely would have heard of the Warrens. And maybe some people are watching this don't know about the Warrens, but some of their cases have been turned into, and it's probably not, they don't do stuff for the fame. They go
no,
in to help people. But some of the original Warren cases are Annabelle, which was turned into a film. That was kind of hugely changed from the original story. I think from Chris, The Conjuring was nearer
yeah.
to what they did. But can we say how you first heard of the Warrens, and what you'll feel comfortable and happy about saying with the Warrens
Yeah.
as well.
Well, essentially, it is an international network of paranormal researchers, essentially researchers, rather than, there are obviously through investigation you have the research, but research is very important to the Warren Legacy Foundation for Paranormal Research. But also it acts as an educational system so that it can help teach people who are in the early throes of investigations the ethics of doing an investigation. There are they have a code of ethics, really, and which is excellent. Sorry, what was that comment? I'm just reading the comment.
So yeah, it was the Warrens file that I used in the 80s as a reference, but I found in the libraries to find out why I could do what I do. So yeah, the Warren files.
Yes.
Thanks,
And
Robbie.
so, they've done an extensive kind of range of educational videos for everybody, at all kinds of stages in their, if you like, in either in their career, if they made it a career, or in their interest. So whatever stage you're at, if you feel as though you could do with a little bit more knowledge in that area, and it's something that you'd like to look into, they have the Warren files on YouTube. On Facebook, it is the Warren Foundation, the Warren Legacy Foundation for Paranormal Research. And I think there's a researchers group. There's various groups that you can join, and the educational videos are there. They go into protection, all kinds of things that you would find useful as an investigator.
Good. Yes, Sam says the Warrens are incredible people. I have an amazing following on social media.
Yeah.
Oh, I got the wrong one up. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to pull that one up. So I just want to say to Jules here that happy birthday to your son, and I hope that
Oh, happy birthday.
This live and being involved with others is making you smile anyway. So I hope that. And hello to Carol. So let's have a look here. Somebody else there. How on earth do you pronounce that?
Panopts. I'm not sure.
But hello to you. I didn't want to just sort of mumble the words. Hello to you as well. So it's yeah. And Robbie says Chris, and what I've seen of Chris is the nicest guy you ever meet.
Yeah,
He lives in Scotland for a while. Have you had much chat with Chris and that?
Yeah, I have. He's very approachable, and he's very much involved. He doesn't kind of allow the groups to just go ahead and him sit back and have a rest, if you like. He gets involved with all the groups, and he does respond to people's messages. And even though he's traveling everywhere, he's such a well-traveled man. But he is one of the nicest people that you could meet.
Agreed, and thank you for that, Jules. Yes, you are very talented, Lana.
Thank you, Jules.
Yeah, so if we can talk a little bit about something. Oh, I've got the wrong thing here. So I thought I'd get up some of your art now. So whilst I get this up, because it's absolutely amazing. It's beautiful. So I'm going to start with, which one am I drawn to? I'm going to do this one. I'm drawn to this one right now. So let's pull this one up. Absolutely striking colours. Share screen. I'm sure I can work out how to do this a little less clunky. So
You're doing well,
there.
Paul. You're doing well.
Thank you very much. You said you download. Well, so it's actually when you were doing the pub, and
Yes.
when you first ones that these images came through to you. What
Yeah.
was the very first one, and how did they come to you? Were they like a slideshow very quickly,
Yes,
or
it was. And it was while I was driving, which was the worrying thing.
yeah?
So it's not, advisable. Well, these things happen. It doesn't matter whether you're driving or not. If they're going to happen, they're going to happen. But yeah, so it was quite difficult to keep your eyes on the road, but also see these visions in succession. It was like a slideshow. And I think the first one that it started with was the healer, which I don't think I sent you that one.
Let's have that. If you tell me about the healer, that would be amazing.
He looks a little bit like a Jesus figure with his arms out, and there's kind of flowers around him.
Yeah, I don't think you sent me that one.
I don't think I have. But that was the first one. And I've included, it's kind of like an eclectic collection of cultural and historical characters, if you like, but also angels. So we have angels, guardians, and guides. And of course, with my, if you like, my gift is to connect with spirit guides for other people. So that is actually just a picture that was I sold many years ago, but
I love it. It's nice.
like it.
And I think that what we could see with that, because I can't. Hopefully, it's up now because I'm sort of scrolling through them, and I thought it'd be the best way of doing it.
Yes.
There is a spiritual energy with this painting as well.
Yes, I think that's why I included it, because it is actually the swirls around the sword is gold leaf and the sword is silver leaf, and it was a very tricky thing to do, but it seemed to work well. I actually sold it just before I finished it, so it wasn't, at least somebody liked it enough to.
Absolutely. I mean, it's brilliant the work that you do. I was trying to get Robbie's one up here, so I love Lana's tarot cards. She showed me them last year. Let's get some more going here. This is I mean, they're all really nice ones as well. So, would you like to tell us about this one? I'm drawn to all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, this one in particular, I wanted to actually thought about because obviously I received the initial images, but then I have altered some of them slightly. And I obviously use my intuition and when I paint as well, just in case I need to add some things in or remove some things that is no longer relevant. So sometimes I will sit at a painting for a few days just looking at it, and then something happens. I get that inspiration. But this one, when I painted him, I thought about Metatron actually. Which is because Metatron is kind of the angel for children and children's development. So I felt as though I just liked the innocence of the fact that this child was levitating and it had sort of reached that spiritual peak that we all hope to reach, and children are very open. So I particularly like this one, and I felt as though the tree behind him was almost like the tree of life,
Yeah, it does look. Yes, I'll zoom back out again so we can see that more. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see that most definitely.
So I felt as though the symbolism within that, and I particularly feel as though subtle symbolism is always better than just lots and lots of things put into one card. For me, I think that you've got to look a little bit more and observe a little bit more when the symbolism is subtle. So I feel as though this was kind of represented innocence, but also enlightenment.
I tell you what, you said to be a bit more subtle with it. What I'm drawn to is the roots. I don't
Yes,
know why, but I'm really drawn to the roots.
yes. Because I think that as well, if you love nature and you love trees, you tend to be drawn to trees that are interesting. I don't know
Yeah.
about you, Paul, but
Yes.
when I go for a walk, I look for trees that look really old.
Yeah.
And of course, the trees represent knowledge. So it's kind of looking again for those subtle symbolisms, not to have it sort of cluttered with color and other things.
I got. What medium do you use, Lana?
It's oil, soldier. I usually use oil on canvas, and I have painted many pictures with incorporating silver leaf and gold leaf. It gives again that ethereal quality to them.
Indeed, indeed. Hello, Joe. I'm not sure if I
Hi,
said hello
John.
to you, and I think there's a couple more Claires have popped on since. So let's move to the next one. Yeah, that's lovely. So again, please sort of explain these.
Yes, this is Armenia, and it's as I mentioned, it covers a range of cultures and beliefs. And the pomegranate is highly spiritual in that part of the world, and they use it in the food. And I think that they do actual ceremonies at Christmas as well, involving the pomegranate in church. I think they hand them out to
Okay.
people. But I just wanted the background to be kind of, that sort of the storm, if you like, or the stormy sky is behind them, and they've got that unity as mother and child. Just that expression of unity and I think kind of family.
Get the next one up here. I'm hearing clicking noises, so I don't know if that's anything to do with my sharing. It sounds like it's me clapping every now and then. I don't know if anybody else can hear that
No, I
from
can't
time to
hear
time.
it.
Yeah. So this is again. I mean, I'm very drawn to colours.
Yes.
Discover your gifts, like that. That's a lovely image there.
Well, I suppose it kind of reminds me of Pandora, I think, in the box, but obviously not in a destructive way. I think there's something about just opening a box and discovering again. It's got the tree of life on the box, so it's
Yes.
kind of looking to the gifts of knowledge, of 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 abilities and skills and everything else. I think it's just kind of I think it just represents discovery, you know.
Indeed, indeed. No. Yeah, this one kind of
The Magi. That is, I think I remember putting underneath that title on Facebook, The Sands of Time. So it's kind of looking at, you'd see the pyramids in the background and how sort of time it can be fleeting. Yet you've got these incredible monuments that have been there thousands of years. So I felt as though that was a highly spiritual one, and a thought-provoking one in terms of, time and how important time is. What do you intend to do with time?
I'll tell you what I got when I looked at it. It's to begin with, it's kind of, first of all, I was thinking it's like looking into the past, and I thought, well, no, it's also now as well. So it kind of
Yeah.
encapsulates now and the past as well,
Yes.
which is wonderful.
Yes. And I suppose it does again link that time element, the the history and the present.
Yeah, and Robbie says the attention to detail is outstanding.
Thank you.
Really, it really is. Let me get that. Oh, there we go. That's that again. Yeah, that's lovely. It's very peaceful looking at this one. It certainly gives me a good sort of good vibe and good energy, but peaceful coming from this.
Yes, I think that was one of my first ones as well that I painted. To be honest, that might have been the first one. It was 3 years ago, going on for 3 years. But yes, it's the seer. I called it the seer. She's got the crystal ball. She's looking into the future, if you like. But also she's got the peace. The doves represent peace and
Yeah,
protection. Again, it's connecting it with protection. I think that protection is very important in this particular deck of cards, to me, because I think that with lots of other cards, they don't really mention it. They do to a point, I think some briefly, but they don't mention the importance of it. Now, somebody who's just opened a deck of cards, I think, needs to know, because that's when your abilities and your enthusiasm is kind of, if you like, you're raring to go. So you need to know the importance of protection.
brilliant. And actually, it's a nice one whilst that's on because it brings me something. So we'll continue through these beautiful photos. I think it'd be important to talk about protection. I know that Chris talks about,
Yeah.
but I also know there's a lot of, and some of these friends of mine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't kind of do as much ghost investigations as I used to, and I still absolutely love it. But I know there's a lot of people that go into a haunted location, and probably one of the first things they do is find a table that can rock and just
Yeah.
start doing some table tipping straight away or something like that. So talk about the importance of protection when you're going in for a paranormal investigation, and what can happen if you don't.
Well, I've seen the things that happened if you don't. Unfortunately, I've witnessed that, and it's not very nice at all. Then you need somebody to do soul rescue and a cleansing, but you can prevent all of that if you just put some simple, you say a prayer, or there's various forms of protection that you can use, but it's essential to do that before you step into somewhere. I used to protect my house before I left, so nothing would be following me back, or if it did, it wouldn't get in the house. I protected all, my children before I left. So it wasn't just a case of, oh, come on, let's grab all the stuff, let's go, let's see what's going to happen. You've got to think about it, because the consequences are not very good. And you may have heard stories, different people may have heard stories along the way from different friends, but having done that first difficult investigation that I did, I saw plenty that went on. One man was possessed. I'd never seen a man possessed before. He'd just come in for a pint. We were upstairs in the room that was outside of the toilets. It had once been a restaurant, I think. And we were just kind of looking at the fireplace. And the landlord's brother came up at the same time with this man. So we kind of looked at them, and I think I said, have you brought your friend along? Not thinking that it's not a show for people to come and see. And he said, no, he just followed me. So when he kind of was speaking in a very strange way, and he was talking about the fireplace and because they'd removed certain bricks from the fireplace. So he was talking about the fireplace and where each brick went, but he looked as though he was dazed. He didn't look as though he was here. So I nudged my friend, and we kind of looked at him, and he just went on in his own way, talking about these bricks and the fireplace. And we took him downstairs, put salt around him, some crystals, and my friend did what she did. And he literally went to sleep for 2 hours after that. And he had no recollection of, when he woke up, he had no recollection. He did not have any idea.
Because
no idea at all.
You can watch Lana's interview, the recreation of this story through YouTube if you put in a haunting, and it's got a slightly different name on the DVD, but I've forgotten the name that you can look at. But I'll try and link it so that people can see it. But one of the things that I noticed in it, because they do interview the man that came in for a pint and got more than he bargained for. You can tell that it still disturbs him now. The whole experience. And have you seen him at all since that time?
I met up with him when actually I think I spoke to him on the phone. I met up with one of the young guys who was working behind the bar. He told me what happened after I left. And he basically said that everybody fell out with each other. Nobody, stayed friends. Other things happened after that. Things went wrong with supplies and all sorts of things. In fact, something happened when they were filming. So they came to mine the day before they actually went to the pub to interview me. I refused to go to the pub because I said, well, it hasn't been dealt with. So, and then they went to the pub. I got on really well with people from the Discovery Channel. They were lovely people. And I did offer for them to take some rosary beads and some holy water. And they just said, oh, no, we'll be fine. And I was thinking, really? Anyway, I phoned them on that evening, or I think that was the Saturday they were there. So I phoned them on that evening, and they said that the friend who did this with me had taken her daughter. A fight broke out, and blood was splattered on the little girl's dress, and the police were called, and it was closed down. It was a violent fight. So then I thought that might have been the end of it, but I wasn't quite sure. So I did phone them before they left, and they seemed all right. And then Edward, the producer at the time, had said, I'll give you a call, the next day. So he said that he had missed his flight, and Greg managed to get his flight. But when he got there, he had a crash leaving the airport. So, don't go blindly into something and think that you are automatically protected. It is down to you, and your guides are not going to do it automatically. So call on your guides and connect with your guides. The importance of guides, I can't express enough how important they are, that you connect with them. And of course, Paul did with his drawing, and it really does help. It really does help. And don't be afraid to ask them to come around you and help you. But yeah, you can't depend on just ego or bravado to sort of get you through it.
Absolutely, and I communicate with the one that the guide that you put me in contact with.
Yeah.
I've found the video. So on a haunting, it's called on the DVD, The Wheat Shift Horror. But if you go on YouTube and you put in Dark Secrets of Brutal Past, full episode A Haunting, then you will come across the A Haunted episode, which this is all about. Do you think once you spoke to the people that were doing the Ouija board pretty much every single night of the week until you came in, do you think they took on board seriously enough your warnings from it?
They did, because of because we strongly advised that they didn't do it again. But I think it was about the last day, and this was also sort of contributed to me not going back there, was that they got the Ouija board out again after we'd just sort of finished everything. And I just couldn't believe it. So I remember going over to the board, and I to the table where they were. I thought I'd just observe what they were doing. And the glass was going round really slowly. And they said, "Oh, it's a child. It's a child." And I said, "I don't think it's a child." So I said, "Ask them if it's this man who was causing the trouble." And at that, it flew off the table and smashed. So, again, a lot of people do the Ouija boards and they say, well, if you do it properly, you're okay. But there's that one chance that you're going to allow something else through that is not very nice.
Well, I know in America, and I don't know if it's here, but I think a Ouija board is a children's toy. At least it used to be, with fun for the family
Oh,
written on it.
yeah,
I know there was a lot of research done at the pub. Well, not at the pub, but around the time as well.
yeah.
Little bits in the documentary. Were you involved much with the research side of things?
Not essentially. No. Well, I did the drawing of the man who had committed the murder.
Yeah.
And I drew the young girl, and I put their names on the bottom of the picture. The people, the employees, if you like, of that pub, did go to the public library, the local library, and they found a picture, group photograph of the man outside of the pub, and they knew it was him because of my drawing. So they were able to identify him, stood with everybody else through the drawing. And I think they found the little girl as well.
I find pubs usually because there's a lot of drinking.
Yeah.
But investigations I've been on, things have really kicked off after using a Ouija board. And I find that probably it happens more in pubs because there is alcohol involved.
Yeah.
There's usually afterwards the staff members stay on and let's have a drink and out it pops. Do you ever go into pubs now and suddenly get the feeling somebody's been messing around with something they shouldn't have been in here, or I don't like the energy in here?
Yes, I think so. I think it's something that you do sense. I don't know if you have, Paul, but there's a certain feeling that when you enter into a pub, you kind of that there's something there anyway. You know that it's haunted, but you start to pick up on the energies, so you can differentiate between the energies of what is spirit and what is something that's kind of low level spirit, something that's ready to cause a lot of problems, if you like. So I think that you do pick up on that.
And also as well, you can sometimes pick up if there's been a bad argument in the room. You haven't heard the argument, but you go in a few moments later, and you can feel that. Robbie said, sorry, English isn't his first language, so sometimes he makes mistakes. I really wouldn't worry, Robbie. English is my first language, and I'm dyslexic, and I still make loads of mistakes. Let's see here. Older pubs always have negative energy. Occasionally, I think I've come across some older ones which are quite nice, but it might be that people have sort of worked on things, because a lot of times as well, these pubs were used as morgues and that as well sometimes. Yes. Hi, Leah.
True. That is true. I think that I think once you start to become sensitive to the energies, and I think in a way, where you've got all of this equipment to depend upon to sense something there, if you remove that equipment and hone in on your own skills, you will. I know that it's visual, it's something for people to see or hear, when the REM pod goes off and the lights flash. It is visual, and in some respects can make it more interesting. But I think that if you're going in somewhere and you're not televising these things, you just try and hone in on your own skills, on your own abilities, and that will become stronger.
Agreed. Patricia says pubs are most active in the toilets, and Claire, which when I've been on investigations, I find this as well. Usually the ladies lose. I've no idea what this is. I don't know if it's to do with the water, and there is a theory of like stone tape theory, but water tape theory as well, like with homeopathy, water containing memory, and that can happen with the water as usual. Arguments always create poltergeist activity, especially in pubs where grind is involved. So, I mean, have you come across poltergeist activity or heard of poltergeist activity?
Well, there certainly was in that pub. It was, as I say, it was, and I still don't think that it's settled. I have heard of other things that have happened fairly recently there or around the area. In fact, somebody came to me for a reading, and they told me that the person who came for a read, one of them, her husband had been killed in a crash outside of that pub.
Oh.
And that was devastating. And I felt so sorry for her. Somebody had jumped the lights. There were lights outside the pub, and smashed into their car. And it certainly is nothing to just mess about with. It's not entertainment. It really is.
No,
exactly. It can have long-lasting effect.
It can indeed. Yeah, poor lady and gentleman as well.
Yeah.
A soldier says, what kind of pubs do you people go in? I like either ones with history. I've two places I like to go, and I don't know about you. I either like to go to a pub that is super old,
Yes.
Lots of history, and apart from the fire exit signs, you could be going back in the 1800s or before, and it probably wouldn't have changed so much. So I either like that, or it has to be super modern, proper cocktail bar with like nice lights
Yes.
around the thing. So one or the other. I mean, they're all right, but certain like chain. I don't want to get in trouble and say any chain places, but where each one's the same, I'm less interested in those ones. But you can have a
Yeah.
good, fill and decent meal from them. So that's that balance. What sort of places would you like to visit, ghost wise, or if you just said something, let's just have a drink and a chat.
Well, I like old pubs. So I like something with history too. History is, I just love history. I love local history, and, wherever I go, I like to think about how people lived in times gone by. It kind of, sort of ignites the imagination, doesn't it, when you go into somewhere that's fairly old. Um, so yes, I like old pubs. I do.
A question that I asked actually is kind of going completely all over the place, and Leah sent something
All right.
here. I'm not quite sure what that means, but thank you, Leah, anyway. Um, when Soldier said which pubs do you like to go into, I was almost going to say open ones, but we're just talking about the lady and say more serious then. So I thought I would be serious. So right. So where are we now? Yeah, what I was going to say is you sometimes go into places, old places, and you feel like that you're not wanted. But I've had the opposite where I've been into old places, and it kind of almost feels like you've been invited in. So can the
Yeah,
opposite be true, and you have that more pleasant, happier energy from spirits around?
I think so. I've always said that sometimes, um, it's a food chain.
Yeah, excellent.
I've always said that, when somebody goes and you walk into somebody's house and they've lived there for some time, but it feels vibrant, it feels lovely, the energy feels peaceful. And when I've asked people, these people who have sort of live in this house, and I ask them how they came about it and how they felt when they first saw it, they always say that it's kind of they felt welcomed. So I think that there is that. I think sometimes houses choose you.
I always feel the cafe, and it's not just because it's a cafe. I always get that Caldecott Castle. I felt like I've been welcomed into the air whenever I visited
Yeah,
Caldecott Castle. Lovely, lovely place. Robbie said there's a place near me I'm trying to investigate. There's been a pub at the same site for almost 400 years. That would be
yeah,
interesting. You
very,
happy to share it, Robbie, so I can Google it after and have a good look?
yeah,
So what's that? What's this one say? I like. Hi Lorna. Sorry if I've been some people coming in which I haven't mentioned. Hi. I can imagine how the staff were in the old days in the pub. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I feel completely and utterly. Like my imagination also kicks in when you go to these wonderful old places.
yes, definitely. Or castles, or I think that if you like history, you will be drawn to historical places.
Exactly, exactly. Now I was just scrolling through, see if there's any photographs that I might have. Ah, yes, I'm going to pull up this photo now, which I haven't. Oh, hang on. Oh, that's good, isn't it? Sorry. Right, let me try and. I'm really sorry. I'm trying to share this now because it's kind of all a bit new. Why is that not popping up like that? Windows. Ah, that's weird. Sorry, I'm just going to close that down and try again. Get this up again. Right. Yeah, there's a photograph which we haven't, not so a painting we haven't shown yet, which I do like, and I thought it'd be nice for you to talk about. Let's hope this works now. Share screen. Yes, this one. Perfect. That's really really nice, and that's one that you sent me through. I almost used as the background on the poster.
Yes. Yes, I did. I remember painting that in Norfolk. It was apparently there's a glass monument outside or in Paris, and in every language it has inscribed in this glass piece. The word peace is repeated on every line. And I found that incredible. And I thought, how can I incorporate that into a painting? And actually, my daughter Holly, she posed for that. So, yeah, so I really enjoyed painting that one. That one means a lot to me. I would never get rid of that painting. I would never
No,
sell it.
and when it's that important, I don't think you ever should.
No.
So we briefly scrolled through this one, and I don't think I held enough on this particular painting. Is there more you want to add to that? It seems very wise. I get that from this
Yes.
person.
The sadhu, he's a spiritual man in India, and he's completely independent, without possessions. So he has no material attachment to anything. And so therefore he is able to sort of roam and sort of travel wherever he likes. So I feel as though, yeah, it's how often we depend upon material things. You know, we can't. Some people won't walk somewhere; they need to take the car, or you know, there's lots of things that we depend on in our daily lives. But this man has a sense of peace about him without anything, and to sort of get to that kind of state of spirituality must be really nice, because certain things that I can't do without, you know, can't do without my bed or my bath.
Yeah,
So yes, I think that I admire the sadhu for being able to have that freedom, if you like, that
absolutely.
independence.
No, that one, yeah, that one we've shown, but it's beautiful. Let's just leave it up for a moment. Uh, I'm just scrolling through. I think we've done all of them now. Is there any that I didn't show earlier? Sorry if I'm making people a
I
bit
don't
dizzy
think
scrolling
so.
through these.
I don't think I described. Oh, there's that one, the
Yeah, we
weaver.
haven't done that one. The Weaver, yeah, perfect.
Yeah, and of course, here my thoughts went to the Silk Road, going back in time, and you know, I feel as though she's probably the most important, one of the most important ones in the pack, because you know there are fine strands of silk, and she's got to create something out of them. So I feel as though she's, if you like, the ultimate creator, the bringing together of things in order to create something, one particular item. So I feel as though she has all the skills there, very wise as well. But yeah, it took me back to the Silk Road, and how they used to trade in those days and how far they travelled. I think that, you know, our ancestors travelled much further than we give credit for.
Absolutely. Oh gosh, they did, didn't they?
Mm.
Lovely. I think it's ideal time. I had a comment privately. Somebody think this is a thank you that they like this mug. It's a Moscow Mule mug. It's got water in it, but it's actually a Moscow Mule mug. But it could make a nice beer mug as well. But
It is nice, actually.
I like using it. It's got water, holds a lot of water, and
Mm,
is
very nice.
ideal. It makes me smile seeing it as well, which is always really really important.
Oh,
Oh, there we go. So brilliant. Now, I think it would be ideal time. It's gone so incredibly quick. We've got 20 minutes left, but I'd like people to know how they can get in contact with you,
mhm.
your services, and also as well your Facebook group as well, where people can join
Yeah.
in as well. So if you mention all of it, that would be amazing.
Well, I have the Facebook group Spirit Vibe. I think you put the link on beneath this,
I
the
did, yes.
advertisement.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Claire. Yes, so the Spirit Vibe, just send, just join. And then I've got my website, which is lanagrabinskis.com. I've got my usual page, which is Artist Lana. And I think that's about it on social media.
No, that's good though. And yeah, so if you want to get in contact with the Warrens that feel their house, their place of work could
Yeah,
really do with spirit rescue, a clearing, how
yeah.
can people go about that?
Yeah, just contact them. They do have a link where you can contact them for help, as well as a link for you to sort of join them if you wish to join them. I believe you contact them and fill an application form out, which is what I did essentially. But if you have any problems of a paranormal nature, then certainly contact them. They do have, as I mentioned, it is an international network. So whether you're in America or New Zealand, Australia, Europe, there's pretty much somebody there in every part of the world. So, yeah, just feel free to contact them. But do look up the educational side. It does give you a broader understanding about, there's lots to learn from that. I think there's something like near enough 100 videos to go through, and I haven't gone through
No.
probably. So I need to catch up, I think. But do have a look through. I think that you'll find them interesting.
Exactly. And do get your questions in this last bit over 15 minutes for Lana, because it's nice that, I mean, we're all friends here, so it's nice to get in your questions as well. Claire said that's wonderful here that there are people out there to that you can contact for help in paranormal situations.
Yeah,
Most
definitely.
definitely is. I mean, I am very aware what I can sort of ask, but I can imagine you get quite a lot of very, very grateful people that are probably at their wits' end as well, sometimes
Yes,
as well.
yes, yes. I mean, obviously, when it comes to sort of cases and things, you can't really discuss them. But
No,
there are people who, are very sort of pleased with the help that they get. Obviously, there's going to be people where, perhaps you haven't got to the core of it, or it could be something else that's, it's much the same in any investigation, but it's a case of sort of asking the right questions and investigating it thoroughly. So,
exactly. We've got Lorna asking about your cards. I guess you're going to let us know when they're all.
yes, Lana, they're not published yet. I'm in the throes of sort of completing the writing before I send them off. So I will let everybody know. I'll be certainly Paul will probably be one of the first people I will tell.
Oh, thank you. Robbie said, I just wish I had access to learn in the 80s that have access to now. For me, it was trial and error figuring out most of it for myself. And I think as well, we are lucky. I mean, there are less positive things, but I think there's so much more. There's so many positive things, like you can have access to the Warrens now and their videos through online, whereas at one point it it wasn't sort of book you could probably go and the information get down your local bookstore so much. You'd have to order and
No.
have to have special knowledge about. Would be good. There's Patty here. Right, okay. Right, okay. Well, it's Patty. Thank you, but it's kind of please don't use this as sending people requests, and all due respect, but best don't. You know that there are people here that it's their livelihood, it's their work. So please respect what we're all here, what we're about. And at the moment, it's Lana's talk about her interest in life. Is there anything that's really important? I mean, there's so much. I mean, we're only just scratching the tip of the iceberg, really. But is there anything that's really important to you that you would like to mention here?
I think really just to reiterate on the protection side of things, to understand the energy that we all, the energy systems, because that's where you need to be first to be able to then protect yourself. I mean, you can protect yourself, but I always think, if you go to the roots of it and discover the cause behind it and how it works, then you have a greater understanding of why you need to do these things. So I think, I always mention to people about protection and cleansing. When you've come away from these places, cleanse yourself, have the Palo Santo or the, incense, and just cleanse around your auric field. Say a little prayer in your mind or a mantra, depending on what you believe in. So, make sure that you take these, if you build it into a little regime, it'll just become natural. It might seem awkward at first, but, I think that I can't express enough the importance of it. Definitely.
Exactly. Also, Robbie, as well, just before we get this one up, I just said, look, we want a signed deck. I'd like a signed deck as well, please. So,
well, of course.
Have you
Yeah.
written a book about your experiences? Could listen to you all night. Absolutely, and we must get you back
Bless you,
again
thank
for more and
you.
more,
Thank
of
you.
these wonderful experiences. Well,
No, I've often thought about doing that, and perhaps that might be built into a workshop. I'd like to do a workshop with people in order to, I think it's kind of, again, thinking about prevention, in terms of if you have all these tools and this knowledge before you start, then, it makes life easier.
Lorna says, thanks for the reminder, Lana, especially about afterwards cleansing
You're welcome.
yourself.
I'm
So
actually, sorry, Paul.
no, carry on. No, carry on, please.
I'm actually going to make my own incense for protection. So I've done a little bit of further research on all the other kinds of things that you can use for that, because there's not, people mention the same things, and I have done myself used the same things all the time. And to be honest, if it works, that's fine, continue. But I've decided to make my own incense, so I'll see how that goes. I'll let you know how it goes.
Amazing. Oh, that does sound exciting.
I'm quite looking forward to mixing potions and things, and using the pestle and mortar, and yeah, I think I'll enjoy that, actually.
Fantastic. So, what I wanted to say, so because you mentioned a little bit about the paranormal investigations that you've been on, apart from the ones that you mentioned, any other ones that really, I mean, you could probably have loads and loads, but any others that really spring to mind of what has been really really enjoyable and interesting for you?
I can't. I mean, those are the most sort of, if you like, sort of the ones where you just think, "Oh my God, what am I doing here?" I think definitely the lady who, she couldn't go to the toilet at night. Bless her, she just hugged me because she was just so thankful. And I'll never forget that. There wasn't another elderly lady who had me go out, and that was quite interesting, actually. I sometimes forget about these various investigations because the first one is always sort of has more impact. And it was strange because she'd had a Catholic priest come to the house, and she had to ask him to come back. In the end, I can't remember how she got in contact with me because she wasn't local. I went to see her, and she was lovely. She was just lovely. And I remember going into the bedroom. She had a glass door, and in front of the glass door on the opposite side was a full-length mirror. And I was drawn, as I opened the door, I was drawn to the mirror, and I kind of approached it with my hand up. And I was like sort of feeling the energies around that area. And as I put my hand up to the mirror, I literally got a bolt electric shock, went down my arm and into the back of my neck. And it really did ache for days. But when I got the photographs home, and also I turned the mirrors away from, she had mirrors on the wardrobes, and I turned them away. When I got the photographs home, there was literally, and it was very unusual, it was like a small figure, because there was the picture of the radiator, but it was like it was a small figure cowering in the corner. And it was small. I mean, it must have been maybe the size of a football, but it was weird looking.
Yeah.
And so of course I kind of blessed the whole house and everything. And she was fine. She did contact me the following week because my friend who at the time he used to astral travel, so he used to sort of pop in to check that everything was all right. And he said, Lana, he said that there's nothing there. It's just that she likes your hugs. She just wants a cuddle, that's all.
Oh.
Feeling lonely. And I said, oh, I'll pop over and see her, you know. I don't mind that. So it's kind of, yeah, so those were really nice. Those where you know that you've kind of solved the problem, if you like, or spirit has solved the problem. You're just the vehicle. But you've allowed to make that person relaxed again, or feel reassured. And that's the most important thing.
Exactly.
I've probably got more that kind of like that. Oh, I did try to send you a photograph of another. I'd gone to King's Cross Station, and I was looking at the church just up the road from there. They had in the crypt was an exhibition centre, actually. They did art exhibitions. So the crypt, I'd gone to the crypt to have a look, organised it with the person who was there. And the doors leading into the crypt were just massive, huge doors. So we went into the crypt, and I was with an old school friend at the time, hadn't seen her since school. And she kind of came with me, and we're looking around, and all these headstones are propped up against the walls. And apparently when I was talking to the guy, he said they'd removed all of the bodies, and that was just part of the crypt. It was still quite big, but it was just part of it. The other half was blocked off. So they put the bodies in the other half, apparently. So as I was taking photographs of, down the corridors and into the sort of the niches, right at the bottom again, it was right at the bottom of this corridor was a doorway, and there's two figures. You have to really blow it up, but it looks a bit like they have something on their heads, almost like West Indian kind of headwear, and just long dresses and skirts. But it looks like one's stood up, one's kneeling. I'm not sure if there's a child there as well, but they are small. So I will find it and send it to you and see what you think.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. And I thought, well, I can't go anywhere without getting some.
Which it's good though. It's good.
It is.
I don't know if I said hi to Debs, because I was just thinking of people I've been saying hi to, and if I haven't said hi to you, Debs, I do apologise. Hello, and thank you for watching tonight. This is one from Claire. One of my neighbours has awful experiences at her home. She won't sleep there on her own. That's quite bad, and had a house blessed a few times, but it hasn't helped. So again, maybe getting in contact with the Warrens might be an idea. That
might be an idea. To be honest, Claire, they will probably contact us, either myself or, because it depends where you are geographically. I know where you live, Claire. So I think that I'm trying to think who's in that area. They will sort of contact somebody within the area to sort of go and investigate.
Perfect. It's almost 10 o'clock now. So I'll read this question out, and that probably brings us roughly to 10 o'clock. What's the significance of mirrors at the end of the bed? I think I have mirrors at the end of my bed, and sometimes I hear footsteps walking around my bed in the night. So yeah, mirrors.
Well, some people can say that they act as a portal. It depends where the mirror has come from. Is it antique? Is it a new mirror? But also the thing about mirrors facing the bed is that it's energetically not beneficial. So if you're feeling low, you're projecting that. The mirror's bouncing that back to you, if you like. So I would suggest move your mirror or cover it with something. I mean, you want to use your mirror, I would just put it in a different place away from the bed. It just kind of, it reflects things back to you. But also it can act as a portal, depending on the mirror itself.
Absolutely. And it's funny you say that, because 99% of hotels always have the mirror at the end of the bed. So yeah, so if you're feeling bad in a hotel, cover it up.
Yes, definitely.
Wonderful. So I'm going to close it here. Thank you, everybody. Please show some love and hearts to Lana, a wonderful, wonderful guest tonight. You like to stay on just for a few moments after this, Lana, just to have a bit of a chat? Thank you, everybody. Next week we have the wonderful Lynn, my dear friend Lynn, Nanny Lynn, and Mackenzie from Shadows of York. So they'll be talking both about their ghost walk experience. So Lynn's ghost walk experiences and Mackenzie. So I mean, if you're in York at all, I highly recommend Mackenzie's tours. Are absolutely brilliant. The Shadows of York. Again, some wonderful hearts here. Thank you, everybody, and we will both see you soon.
Thank you very much.